Listener discretion is advised. This episode discusses real-life criminal cases, including potentially distressing details. While we approach these stories with care and respect, some content may not be suitable for all audiences, especially young listeners.
Hello everyone, welcome to Texas City Tales Unsolved. My name is Ramari.
And I'm Jennifer.
And today we have Detective Sergeant Winstead here with another case that we are going to help him solve. What are the facts?
But it's a case that occurred on Thanksgiving Day, 2014.
Okay.
And the victim in this case is Keyonna Allums. She is a female that lives by herself out at Lakeview Apartments, or she did in 2014. But to kind of tell her story, I have to back up for over the last 10 years before her death. And we're not going to go through all 10 years, but the highlight is that for a lot of that, she was she lived with a gentleman by the name of Christopher Faison. Christopher is very physically abusive and sexually abusive towards Keyonna, and as time goes on, at some point she finally has had enough of it. I mean, I don't know, they were together close to 10 years, and she had enough. So Mr. Faison leaves the city for a little, and they lived here in Texas City. Sorry, they lived in a house in Texas City, and Mr. Faison leaves town for a football game, and while she's gone, Keyonna calls her mom. Hey, I need you to come pick me up. So Keyonna, she leaves basically with whatever she can carry, because she's not coming back. She's not trying to take furniture. She's not trying to do all that drama. Just get my clothes, whatever I can carry, and I'm out. Well, mom, that's how she ends up at the apartment complex out on the west end of town. Her mom gets her apartment, furnishes it, all that. And this is in mid, probably May or June of 2014. So she's living there at the apartment by herself, makes friends with the neighbors across the walkway, and then down below, she lives in an upstairs apartment. And she has a little dog, and the dog's name is King. But she's going to school, and then she's gotten heavy into her religion, and going to church, and then Bible studies on once a week with other ladies there in the apartment complex and from work and stuff. And so during that summer, Mr. Faison, this is after they've been split up, right? Mr. Faison shows up at the church and decides that in front of everyone, I'm assuming it's on a Sunday, he's going to propose marriage to her, out of the blue. And Keyonna, I was told that Keyonna didn't tell him no, and she didn't tell him yes, but she took the ring. So I don't know how you make out of that. Mm-hmm. So moving through the summer, Keyonna meets another gentleman by the name of Ricky McKinney. They start a relationship together, and she's trying to move forward with her future. November 27, 2014, which again is Thanksgiving Day. That morning, Keyonna's mom, Miss Ellison, comes over to help her get her apartment. It's a small one-bedroom apartment. Get it cleaned up. Not that it was messy, just kind of tidy it up, because Keyonna was expecting friends to come over for Thanksgiving. She was doing a little bit of cooking and whatnot. And mom stays till about noon, and then while she's there, Mr. McKinney comes by with a turkey that was pre-planned. I think Keyonna had sent him to pick up a turkey, and that's the first time mom meets Mr. McKinney. It was that day. So Mr. McKinney doesn't stay long. He leaves. Mom doesn't stay much past that, and they have plans to meet up at the family's house in Lamar, in the Keyonna and Miss Ellison. Well, this is shortly after noon on that day, and about the 3:30, 4 o'clock hour in the afternoon, Keyonna's been texting Mr. McKinney, because after she gets done at her family's gathering for the Thanksgiving holidays, they're going to go out to the club that night. And that's the conversation. When mom leaves, she said, hey, I'm fixing to get ready. I'm going to take a shower and get ready for Thanksgiving. We're going to have all this. It's that typical family goes to everybody's house. Mm-hmm. And So she'd been texting Mr. McKinney about going out to the club that evening. Well, she sends a text that was meant for Mr. McKinney to Mr. Faison. It was a text that would get you in trouble kind of text. And that's when both men realize, they find out eventually through phone calls that afternoon that she's actually still seeing both of the old boyfriend and the new boyfriend. And so we talked about on some of the other episodes, you have to have motive means an opportunity. Well, now both men have a motive, right? They maybe not to kill her, Miss Allums, but to at least be upset and mad at her, because I just found out, it's a love triangle basically, right? So the evening goes on. Keyonna doesn't show up. So we're talking about, now we're getting to the 4 to 5 p.m. hour of that day, and Keyonna hasn't been heard from and hasn't shown up at the family's house. So mom's calling and texting her, no response. And then we get deeper into the evening hours, closer to the 6:30, 7 o'clock hour that evening, and Mr. McKinney hasn't heard from her, so he starts calling and texting her. Well, he's at a location with a friend, and he's told his friend about this text because after Keyonna realized her mistake, she called Mr. McKinney and said, "Hey, I messed up. I was meant to send you a text, and I actually sent it to Christopher." And he's like, "Well, why are you texting him?" And so that's when kind of the truth comes out. And so he's telling his friend about this text, and so he said, "Hey, man, I hadn't heard from her in a while. I'm going to go by and check on her." This is Mr. McKinney talking. So Mr. McKinney goes by. He has a key to her apartment. He unlocks the apartment, goes in, and he finds her deceased in the apartment. He calls 911, and the dispatchers are providing him with information how to do like CPR on her. And she's only 33 years old, so it's a deceased 33-year-old female in her apartment. We would call that like an unattended death because there's no witnesses, there's no one else there. The ambulance, EMS and fire department show up, the police officers show up, and they transport her to Mainland Center Hospital, where she's eventually pronounced deceased. So keep in mind, this is on Thursday, Thanksgiving, which is a holiday for everyone for the most part. Friday is another holiday for the most part. And then you have your weekend. So you have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You have 5 days Monday before they're going to do an autopsy to determine cause of death. In the meantime, the detectives, the crime scene goes in, because you want to treat every death as a homicide because you just don't know, right? So the crime scene techs go in and they do their job, and the detectives start learning from the family who's who, and they talk about these two men, about Ricky McKinney and Mr. Faison. And they interview both these guys, and they've interviewed them both 2 times before Monday. And Mr. McKinney, he talks about he spent the night there the night before. He was there in the morning. He left. He went and got the turkey. He brought it back, and that has nothing to really hide about his. Like, he's been inside of her apartment, or he's never been inside her apartment ever. Well, Monday comes and they do Miss Allums' autopsy, and they learn that she's been strangled. So it's now homicide. So they bring, obviously not at the same time, but they bring both men back in to re-interview them, and they stick into their story. The same story's all the exact same. Nothing's changed. And of course, the crime scene did photographs. They swapped for DNA and collect evidence that they're at the crime scene. And so the next step would be that stuff goes to the lab. Well, in 2019, which is 5 years ago, we got DNA results back, and we have a suspect's DNA on the scene. But we don't know who it is. It's like Mr. McKinney has a reason to be at the apartment. He's had a relationship with her currently and spent the night there before. He has a key to the apartment, so he comes and goes when he wants. And then Mr. Faison has told detectives he's never been inside her apartment. So that's kind of where it's at right now. We're working some stuff out with the district attorney's office, going through the evidence and stuff for the last basically 5 years, retesting things, sending things off to the lab. Now, all that takes time. People, like when you watch a true crime show, they have from the 911 call to the conviction all in 60 minutes or 30 minutes. which obviously everyone knows that's not realistic. You send something to the lab, you're talking probably 6 or 9 months minimum to even get a result back. It could be longer.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on what lab it goes to and what their backlog is on stuff. But
Did either gentleman voluntarily give up their DNA to be able to?
oh yeah, they did. They both men were, for the most part, cooperative. They provided a sample of their DNA, their phone, their phone devices. The detective looked at that. They saw the text messages that's how they, of course, obviously they didn't interview Miss Allums. They interviewed, and that's where they learned about the text messages from the two men.
Mm-hmm.
And they were, for the most part, very cooperative. And then in 2019, when we got those results back, I actually interviewed both men separately, obviously, and they, for the most part, stuck to their story. So nothing has really changed, and that would have been 5 years since it's been a murder.
So from when she sent the mistaken text to when her body was found was just, a few hours?
I would say it's about a 3-hour window from, let's say, if the text, I don't have exact numbers in front of me, but if it was, say it was sent roughly at 4 p.m., it's a little bit before 7 p.m. when Mr. McKinney goes over there and finds her. So yeah, roughly 3 hours or so. Not a very long time at all. I believe so. A lot of times when you have a homicide, you create a timeline of events, and that really kind of tells the story.
Mm-hmm.
And we created a timeline of that day based off phone records, statements from witnesses. When I say witnesses, they didn't witness the murder, but they might have seen something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Different things, a dog barking or a telephone call or something. And you put a timeline together, and I believe that it's not concrete science, but I believe we have it at least narrowed down to an hour, within an hour time frame, if not 30 minutes, depending on how accurate the statement was, or because usually if something happens, we don't look at our watch. Okay, it's exactly 3:37 p.m. when this happened.
Right.
But we give an estimation, right? So
None of her neighbors saw anybody coming or going into her apartment since they were friends.
somebody saw something. Yeah,
Okay.
that's they did see an individual, but I'm gonna kind of leave it at that.
Okay.
But this is gonna sound weird, so don't. But because I don't think you can talk to animals, but if you could, I've always thought this. So Keyonna had a dog. Well, one of the neighbors has a dog, and when they interviewed that neighbor, that dog was acting like weird or out of context, like it heard something. So I'm not trying to sound weird myself, but what if you could talk to animals? Because King obviously knows what happened. Because he was
that's
in
a
the
good
apartment.
point. Right. The dog was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that's not even.
Yeah.
Winstead smoking something. But what if you could, right? Because you have that, which is like by itself seems like okay, whatever. But when I interviewed the next door neighbor during that same hour, the 30-minute to hour window that I'm telling you about, that her dog was acting out of context. It was like barking abnormally, and like it heard something. Maybe it heard the other dog, King. I don't know. But I know people are gonna laugh at that, but those dogs, they pick up on things that or animals do that we don't.
They do. I worked in a shelter for a while, and dogs have very specific fears a lot of times. So we had one, for example, that had a fear of black hoodies. You could not wear a black hoodie without that dog losing her mind. And so, of course, I'm like, did anybody put the dog near any person of interest and see how they reacted?
No.
That would be.
Not that I know of.
I know that's pretty unconventional, but I'm so curious because they definitely don't forget things that have traumatized them.
Well, when I interviewed Mr. Faison near the end of the interview, I said the same thing to him. Could you imagine if I could interview King, what he would tell me? And he just kind of had this ghostly look come across his face, like, oh man, I didn't think about that. Can you talk to dogs? You know? But
So Mr. McKinney was very adamant that he used a key to get into the apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't already open.
Yes.
Okay.
What happened after Christopher showed up and proposed at the church? Like, how much of a time gap is that?
I want to say that was like in August. I'm sorry I don't have the timeline with me, but I want to say that was like near the end of the summer that happened. It was in front of, like, it was on a Sunday, or it was after the sermon, in front of everyone. Like, it kind of like put her on the spot. Like, oh my God, I'm trying to, you know, or at least we thought she was trying to separate herself from him. But I want to say that was like in August, if I remember correctly.
Was her family surprised to hear that she had still kind of had a
Oh yeah, especially her
triangle?
mom.
Okay.
Because her mom was the one that helped remove her from that environment.
Right.
Yeah. But you got to think at that time, I mean, we're talking about years have gone by now, but at that moment, that's not what they're thinking about. But
Right.
as you begin to get past that, you think about that. When I first took this case in 2000, roughly in 2018, Miss Ellison would call me every Monday morning wanting an update. I mean, every Monday morning for several years, and it was like Keyonna had been murdered last week. It was like just fresh. It's very sad. And then it got to be, it was, you know, once every couple of weeks, and now we talk about once a month. We're talking, you know, I've had this 7 years now, but you know, her number, like Miss Ellison's numbers, it's programmed in my desk phone. Like, I know it's her calling. I mean, just we've created that relationship because I learned so much about her and her family through Keyonna's case. So hopefully one day we'll get this put together for her so she can put that at ease.
That does not surprise me that she called so regularly, and she clearly loved her daughter so much to help her out of that situation. And like, again, putting yourself in that situation, you know, I'm a mom, and I don't think that there's any like true rest until, you know, you get some closure on that and get some answers.
Console her. She would break down crying every Monday. It was like it just happened. And at that point, it'd been 4 years, almost 5 years. And every now and then we'll talk on the phone, and she kind of loses it. But I mean, understandably, it's still, you know, her daughter. So she just wants justice for her kid.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially seeing her, I would imagine that would play into it for me too. Like, if I had seen her just right before, you know, you never have any idea that that's the last time that you'll get to talk to her or hug her. And if it's Thanksgiving, I know I'm running around like a crazy person, so I'd probably have been like, all right, see you later, you know, love you, bye, and out the door. So yeah, I can't imagine. That breaks my heart a little bit.
Absolutely. Do we know if anything was missing from her apartment?
There was something missing. There's something missing. Yes.
Okay.
It's not one of those things I'm going to tell you.
That's okay. Okay.
There's a lot of like that. Like we talked. I think the first time that we did one of these, that's what keeps these cases alive. Usually, it's a family member, it's the media, or a police officer, detective that's got some personal involvement in that case, that they keep that case alive. If not, they would be sitting on a shelf somewhere. And there's a lot of nationwide. There's a lot of these cases just sitting on a shelf because they've either been forgotten about, sadly, or they just don't have time to mess with it. Yeah.
One thing I really appreciated was when I went into your office for the first time, these cases are not in a file in a drawer. You know, you have like a board that has them, so they're very much like part of your day every day. Right. And I think if I was a loved one of these people that we've talked about, you know, that would mean a lot. Like, it's not forgotten. It's not even out of sight. It's right there every day.
Yeah. So you gotta keep them in your, you know, alive. So keep the case alive.
Yeah. Do you sometimes feel like you know the victim by the time you go through?
Yes, especially Keyonna, because I went back and interviewed all of her coworkers, all of her family and friends, and just everybody that ever knew her, really, that I could find. And You learn a lot. It's sad that you learn a lot about somebody that after they die. I didn't know Keyonna before, obviously, this case. But, yeah, you feel like you know him. So, but yeah, there was something missing. That's part of kind of like what we're talking about. There's something that's missing from that part. I wish I could tell you. One day maybe you'll know.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our Texas City listeners are gonna figure it out. So there's something missing,
What if I
and
have
there's potentially someone that saw
a theory
something.
about what might be missing?
What?
A theory.
If I have a theory about what might be missing.
After we turn the cameras off.
Okay, well, just some of the facts. So there is something that's missing, and there is someone that saw something. If there is someone that can speak to animals, they can potentially find King.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
Is King still with us?
He was at one point. I haven't asked about him in quite some time, so I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know if he is or not.
That could be a road. Or if someone just has any information that could lead to the arrest and possible conviction and completion of this case, then please contact Mainland Crime Stoppers through their anonymous tip line, and the amount is up to $10,000. So we thank you for listening, and let's bring justice to Miss Keyonna. Until next time, bye.
Bye.
Mainland Community Crime Stoppers is offering up to $10,000 for any information that leads to an arrest in this case. Please call 409-945-8477 if you have any information.